Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Dustin Gold, Douglas Ducote's producer. We're going to start in about 17 minutes. Tonight we'll be discussing the Mueller testimony, but more importantly, Doug's going to get into his recent Facebook ban, the second one in a 2-week period, this time for 30 days, and he's locked out of not only his political Facebook page, but more importantly, he's locked out of his Veterans United for Justice page, which is a not-for-profit that Doug started in 2011. You guys may have just gotten an email from us with a press release regarding that topic. That is a Facebook page that Doug uses to communicate with other veterans, some PTSD, some combat, some even suicidal. Doug's wife, Marilyn, is a licensed professional counselor and PTSD clinician. She's helped Doug over the years with some of these cases. This is very dangerous. We know that President Trump, and we thank President Trump for having the social media summit a week ago, but this goes beyond politics. This is veterans' lives that could be put at risk, and we would like you guys to please share that email. You can also go to douglasducote.com, and right up in the front part of that homepage, we linked an article that Chrissy Piccolo wrote along with the press release that I put together. You guys can download the press release in PDF. You can also share the link to that page with the article, and please get it out there. This is something that we need President Trump, someone around President Trump to see. If you know of any local media, national media contacts, we've been pushing it out there. Please let us know. We really need to get this information out there. It is very dangerous. There's over 7,000 veterans that are part of that Facebook page, and Doug could no longer communicate with them. So we need to get something done about that. So we'd appreciate it if you could help get that message out and try to build some momentum around that story. Again, this goes beyond President Trump. This goes beyond 2020. This goes beyond our own freedom of speech. This has to do with veterans' lives. And we'd appreciate it very, very much from the bottom of our heart if you can get that information out there to as many people as you know. So we'll be starting in about 15 minutes. Thank you for stopping by. And moderators, you know, if you're going to ban people or you're going to censor individual comments, I just ask that you please think about it, be respectful. A lot of conservatives, libertarians, freedom lovers like ourselves, we differ in opinions. We don't want to ban each other. If there are leftist trolls, and you know who they are, that are on here to just start a fight and to take away from the content and the conversation that you're having, ban them. If there are any of these leftist-funded fake Nazis in here that are in here intentionally to drop anti-Israel, anti-Jewish content for the sole purpose of then sending a warning to YouTube that we are in fact Nazis, ban them. Get those people out of there. Everyone else, look, people are going to be upset with Trump here and there. You can tell who those people are. It's okay. We have differing opinions. Just get the leftist trolls and the leftist-funded Nazis out of this chat. We have no tolerance for that. This is not a free speech zone. This is the Douglas Ducote zone. So, thank you very much, and we'll see you in about 13 minutes. Hey, Evelyn Meadows, I can see your comment. It's Dustin Gold, the producer here. I did not say that if we do not agree that you will be banned. I said to the moderators to actually be very liberal in their banning, to be very conservative in their banning, and not to ban people that are from the libertarian, Republican, conservative, freedom-loving, liberty-loving side, that we will differ on things. I said if you are a leftist troll, and we can tell that you are, or you're a leftist-funded fake Nazi, here to cause trouble, here to disrupt the chat, and here to disrupt and take away from the content of the show, you will be banned. That's exactly what I said. Now, if you can't interpret that the way that it's meant, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe find another show to watch. Hello, everybody. It's Dustin Gold, producer with the Douglas Ducote Show. We're going to be starting in 2 minutes. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you share this video, whether you're at YouTube or whether you're at DouglasDucote.com. Again, moderators, feel free to ban anyone that you can tell is a leftist troll here to take away from the content and or disrupt the chat, and do the same with leftist-funded fake Nazis. I just got the warning today from a streamer friend of mine that the fake Nazis are back. So Tom Steyer, or one of these guys like George Soros, has clearly started sending checks out again because they are on YouTube channels, conservative YouTube channels, infiltrating and distracting. So if you see them, ban them. If you see that it's other conservatives, libertarians, Republicans, freedom-loving people, don't ban them. We differ in opinion, but ban the ones that are here dropping straight-up Nazi stuff, or who are here saying crazy leftist things, because they're not people that we can converse with anyway, because we're not going to change their minds. So there's no point in letting them disrupt the chat. But just don't ban everyone, because we want people to be able to speak their mind and ask questions. Doug is going to speak for about 30 minutes on the Mueller testimony, and then get into censorship of his Facebook page, as well as his Veterans United for Justice, a not-for-profit organization he founded in 2011, designed to help veterans readjust to life and to have a reason to live. We'll get into that, then we're going to take about a 3 or 4 minute break, come back, and Doug will answer questions from the chat for about a half hour. All right, we'll be started in 20 seconds.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American Patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Douglas Ducote Show.
Hello, American Patriots. Welcome to the Douglas Ducote Show. Boy, have we got some things to talk about. Hey, censorship, one of them. We're going to talk about the upcoming events we got happening this Friday, which is really, really cool. But first, let's talk briefly about this Mueller investigation. And also, I want to say that shortly after the break, at the bottom of the hour, we're going to open up for questions for you guys. I'll try and answer as many as I possibly can. One real quick thing, Claudia Smith, I'm sorry that you're missing the Astros. I do hope that the Astros win just for you, okay? I happened to catch that in the chat before I came over to the live feed. Anyhow, so the Democrats got their wish to have Mueller come back and testify in front of them today. If you missed it, you didn't miss anything. Look, the guy did not say anything that wasn't already in his report, although a few things, and I'm not sure which one it was. Either he is now losing his mind, possibly, I don't know, possibly going senile, or maybe he smoked a big doobie before he came out, or maybe he was drunk, but he was stuttering and completely at a loss for words a lot of times, and having them repeat and repeat what the question was. All right. And then even at some points asking them to, to point out where in his testimony, in written testimony, did he actually say that? So you can go back and read it. So that was kind of odd. I think something's definitely happening with Mueller, mentally wise. And hey, sorry to hear that. I don't really have an opinion one way or another about the guy, other than when any investigation takes place, and I want everybody to really pay close attention to this, okay? Any investigation, it's going to involve law enforcement, which would be criminal conduct. And in this case, the special counsel has FBI agents and attorneys that are working with them to find a crime, all right? Any investigation, and this one's no different, you either find the crime and you're able to take it to a district attorney and then go forward and he decides if you got enough evidence or not and charge the person. Or if you don't find a crime was committed, then you say a crime, we didn't find that. There's no evidence to that. What you don't do is, if, let's just say my producer, Dustin Gold, was accused of stealing a car and the police go investigate him and find out that there's no evidence that he stole that car, all right? And they do a press conference. They're going to say, look, after our investigation, we found no evidence that Dustin Gold stole a car. But that doesn't mean that he hasn't stole a car before, and he might have stole a car, but we didn't find any evidence about it. So we can't really clear him for not stealing a car, okay? That's what Mueller did with this investigation. He came out and said that, you know, Trump, there was no collusion with the Russians, but then he ends it by saying that he can't clear him because they didn't find evidence one way or the other, and that you can't indict a sitting president anyhow. So that in itself was kind of like, I don't know, batshit crazy. All of us former law enforcement and those that are in law enforcement today, you know, were like, what the hell? All right, that was a classic James Comey thing, where James Comey came out and laid out all the evidence of the federal crimes that Hillary Clinton should be convicted of. And you thought during the press conference that, hey, she's going down, this is it, you know? And then he ends it by saying that, in his opinion, no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute this case, which wasn't his decision to make. All right. He doesn't have that option. He has to forward it, in his case, to the DOJ, or a cop on the streets case to the district attorney. They make those decisions. Now, not that it would have changed in the Hillary case, because the DOJ, Loretta Lynch was, you know, completely on Hillary team, so it wouldn't have mattered. Either way, that's a good example of why a lot of conservatives and Republicans are pissed off right now. Okay, we're looking at the law enforcement leadership of the land and going, what in the hell are we doing here? How do you, you know, this is not how you conduct an investigation. So, besides the fact that he was stumbling with his words, and that was kind of an embarrassing situation for him, I'm sure his family was wondering if he was okay. I was actually kind of thinking that. There was probably mention by the Democrats, I'm going to just throw a number out there, and this is conservative, and say 50 times, that no one is above the law. At least 50 times I heard that statement. Now, and I'm saying that's conservative, it was probably well over 100. Yet, if that's the case and that's how they actually feel, which they don't, because we know that, we watched what happened with the Hillary Clinton investigation, how they circled the wagons around her, and at every avenue where it looked like they were going to find something, or it looked like, you know, things were being exposed, they found a way to blow it off and try their damnness to protect her. And that's every single member of the Democrat Party. Okay. So this shit today that we kept hearing with no one is above the law, and then they would say not even a sitting president. Go away with that. All right. Take that shit somewhere else because it just makes you look even more foolish. Now, look, when it was over with, the most interesting thing that I saw, and for those of you that don't know, I watch and or record CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News so that I can see who's spinning stories and piece together my homework before I do videos. CNN and MSNBC from day one of Trump have been against him 100%, hands down. All right. Fox News, on the other hand, have been giving him the benefit of the doubt and exposing things that CNN and MSNBC would not. That being said, for the very first time after the investigation was over with, CNN was siding with Fox News on how that investigation or how that testimony went today, saying that it just exploded in the Democrats' face. There was nothing there. There was no I got you moment. There's no way they're going to be able to impeach with this. They were saying that they had all this evidence and we learned absolutely nothing new. Okay, so that was CNN. Then I go over and I watch what MSNBC said. And they didn't skip a beat. All right, they were still in the exact same narrative they've always been on from day one, which is Trump is the devil and we got to take this guy out. Okay, so CNN went to Fox News' side for the first time, saying exactly what Fox was saying and what I was saying, everybody else that watched this, that what a waste of time and money, and a lot of your money, actually. So I say that to say this. I'm going to go back after the show and I will watch the CNN shows that came afterwards that, like I'm missing right now, for instance. Anderson Cooper, Como, Don Lemon. And I guarantee you for the nightly portion of CNN, because that's when they're going to get the most of their far left, liberal, loony, and Democrat viewers, they're not going to do what the panel did. There was about 8 of them that covered today's testimony. They're going to do just the opposite. They're going to basically do what MSNBC did. All right. Guarantee you hands down. There's no way that Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, and Como are going to let them or let this walk like it happened earlier today. Which, once again, brings up the fake news of CNN. Okay, which is it? And I don't know because I haven't seen it yet. All right, so I'm just assuming, but I'm assuming, and I guarantee you, back me up on it. Go check it. Look at the facts yourself. That those three shows tonight are going to say that basically there's the proof to impeach this president. Okay. And we will look at that later. The bigger picture of this whole thing, let's just say that, okay, so you're a Democrat or you're a liberal and you want to believe what Adam Schiff believes. And you want to believe what AOC and Talib Shalib and Omar and all the rest of the Democrats up there that are never Trumpers. You want to believe what they believe, okay, which is that he actually did collude with Russia. Then you go look at the reason the investigation started in the first place. A dossier that was made up, it wasn't true, it was fake, and it was bought and paid for by Hillary Rodham Clinton. The Clinton campaign paid for that. They paid Russian operatives to work on getting dirt on Trump. But the Democrats aren't talking about that. Why? Because Comey let her off the hook. But William Barr comes along, and there is an ongoing active investigation right now into all those players that have since been fired from the Department of Justice and the FBI and the CIA, all these names that you've heard many, many times, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, the whole group that was just dead set on breaking down a president, a coup attempt. Let's just call it what it was. All right. Folks, there's no way that you can then turn around and do an investigation that's partial or that's even legal when you know that the information that was provided to start the investigation wasn't true, and then you continue and you tell a FISA judge with a FISA warrant that it was true, and you lie about it over and over and over again. You see the picture I'm setting up here? So now we go down a rabbit hole looking for something that you know's not there, and the FBI knew it wasn't there. They knew they were lying on that FISA court warrant. All right, there's no doubt about that. We know that now. Okay, so then you go down that hole, and you can't find the evidence that you went looking for, which was Russia collusion. But you investigate everybody that had anything to do with Trump, and you catch them in lies, which is basically what got them caught up in stuff, because they were taken off guard. And in some cases, it was very screwed up. Like they didn't even know they were under investigation. All right. There was no rights read or anything like that. So you have people whose lives have been ruined, and even the ones that weren't charged, they're done. Okay. They had to spend all their life savings and even in some cases do GoFundMe accounts to get money to pay attorneys to cover their ass. All right. Or to get them out of this mess that this investigation took them down, which, by the way, was loaded up with members of the FBI that were registered Democrats. And that is a fact. There were only 3 of those FBI agents that were not registered Democrats. And the Democrats want to go down this rabbit hole and continue this. So here is my personal belief on what we're going to see happen really, really soon. When the DOJ is done with their investigation, they're going to indict all these players. And there's going to be people that are going to be brought up on charges. I do believe, I have faith, not only in William Barr, but I have faith that God is going to oversee this and make sure that it all leads back to the person that paid for this investigation, which is Hillary Clinton. If you can't get her on nothing else because you had an FBI director that didn't do his job properly and then lied, then you can sure as hell get her for her collusion with the Russians. Because we know that. It's a fact now. All right. Before Barr's even finished with his investigation. Hold on one second. And one other thing I want to say about Russia collusion before we move on. Russia collusion. Let's look at 2 things. The Obama administration and NASA. Now, what does that have to do with Russia collusion? Hear me out. In 1969, we put men on the moon repeatedly, several times. We won the space race. No other country has done what we've done. And it was a race with the Russians. We have done things in technology and space that no other country has been able to do. We built a reusable space shuttle. And that program ended up being shut down. And today, how do we get our astronauts to and from the International Space Station? Russia. There's Russia collusion for you. We killed a program that we had in place while we still had astronauts up on the space station with no way to get them home. And we continue to send them up and bring them down this day on Russian spacecraft. And we won that war in '69. And today, our space program is a shame. It's sad. And all you got to do is listen to the remaining of the astronauts that walked on the moon that are still alive. You know, Buzz Aldrin's one of them that's going, never in my wildest imaginations would I have thought this would happen. So if that's not colluding with Russia, hey, we're going to kill our space program. Do us a favor and allow us to get up in space with your guys. And then one last thing, you know where most of our uranium went? You know, that makes nuclear weapons? Hillary Clinton was running the State Department when that happened. Russia has that now. So, look, the whole thing about fake news, the whole thing about a witch hunt, 100% true. And there's no other way you can look at it but that. I say to the Democrats, fine. Hey, hold the impeachment hearings tomorrow, please. Do it. So you can get it behind you. We can get it behind us as we move forward to 2020, because there's no way in hell that the Senate is going to agree with what you're saying. It's not going to happen. If you don't have the Senate, all you have is the House, you're screwed. It's all a political ploy to just try and get enough voters to think this president committed a crime that he didn't commit. All right, so enough with Mueller. Censorship. Here we go. As you know, you've watched all these big players that had hundreds of thousands of subscribers, even in some cases over 1 million, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Okay, we're talking like Alex Jones, Laura Loomer, Don Shipley, who was the Navy SEAL, Steven Crowder. All right, big people in social media. And social media comes along and realizes how many people they're reaching, and they shut their ass down and take away their platform. First, it was just banning. And then it was, for certain periods of days. And then it was just, boom, you're done. You're over with. And in some cases, like Laura's situation, that's how she made her living. Now they're going after the next generation of conservatives and Republicans that are using social media to get the word out about what the truth is and what the Democrats are doing and what their plans are and their lies, regardless if it's the border or if it's about law enforcement, and they're being racist, the whole thing with the take a knee and, all those continuing stories that don't exist. In my situation, first it was Twitter, and I had made a comment to AOC on Twitter, where I started the comment out with, "Why don't you go play in traffic?" And then I said, you're nothing but a loser, you're disgraceful, and you're ashamed of Congress, or something to that effect. All right. And Twitter shut me down for promoting suicide. Now, I spend my waking hours dealing with suicide, dealing with veterans that are suicidal through my nonprofit. So does my wife, who's a professional counselor and has done outstanding work with veterans and those that have PTSD. So to say that I was promoting suicide with that is beyond ridiculous. So what are your options? Your options are you can appeal it and you tell them why. So I click on appeal and I explain to them why that's not promoting suicide. If she was a 14-year-old girl and I said, hey, why don't you go play in traffic? I might understand that somewhat. But the first time I heard, why don't you go play in traffic? I was like on a playground in elementary school. It's satire, if nothing else. It sure as hell isn't promoting suicide. And she's a grown woman that's a member of Congress. So I did the appeal and I said, we will now have somebody physically look at it and get back to you. I then shared that to Facebook on my own personal wall and said, hey, check this out. You guys aren't going to believe this. This is what Twitter just did to me. And they said that I'm promoting suicide. All right. And I've got a lot of vets and a lot of guys I served with, whether it's law enforcement or the military, that are on my personal Facebook account. And I shared a screenshot of where I was banned. And lo and behold, if Facebook didn't turn around right away and ban me, originally I think it was 7 days, for promoting hate. Promoting hate because I'm showing the world what Twitter stupidity is. Well, here's the problem with that. If I break one of your rules, social media, so be it. But I didn't. And without a doubt, I've reviewed all the rules. But you ban me on my own channel. You don't go after my nonprofits where I help vets with suicide, and that's what they did. I had no access whatsoever to get into my own social media accounts for Veterans United for Justice. Banned, shut down, 0. So after 7 days, the Facebook ban was lifted. And at this point, I shared with Facebook that, look, it's been 3 weeks now since I did the appeal, and they still have not even reviewed it. And I don't think Twitter ever will review it. It doesn't take, those of you that have been banned on Twitter before know that if you do the appeal, or even if you don't do the appeal, it's a few days or maybe a week max. By telling this to my friends on my Facebook wall, it's been all these days and they still haven't done anything. Facebook now banned me for 30 days from everything on Facebook. Why? Once again, promoting hate. Because by calling out Twitter, I'm promoting hate. It doesn't get much stupider or dumber than that. Now, the sad part about it is, for 30 days, I cannot get into, I have a website for Veterans United for Justice that we don't even use anymore, all right? Because we weren't reaching veterans through the website. We were reaching them on Facebook. You know, I had 7,000 people subscribed to Veterans United for Justice on Facebook that we interact with on a regular basis, that send me messages on a regular basis about the situation they're in. And I get them help. and I get them set up with the right people. And now I can't do that. So now lives are at stake here. It's not about me anymore. It's about what they're done to veterans. And that shit is wrong. It doesn't get any wronger than that. I've appealed that, and I lost the appeal within 24 hours. We agree that you are promoting hate. Do they give a shit about veterans? No. Why is that? Well, because most social media platforms and the people that run them and operate them, such as Google, for instance, they're all liberals. They don't like the military. They don't like Republicans. They don't like conservatives. They don't like veterans. They think veterans are the worst. We are the enemy. We're the ones that are going to rise up and do horrible, nasty things. And I'm almost at a loss for words, other than we've put out press releases and we hope that we can get someone like Fox News to pick this story up and run with it so we can expose them. And here's my story to Facebook. I don't give a shit if you ever let me back on my personal wall again, because I was already planning on getting off of Facebook for that. But why in the hell would you restrict me from dealing with veterans? The veterans page, Veterans United for Justice. Why would you do that to somebody? That's all I want back. And as far as my personal wall is concerned, whatever. Delete it. I don't give a shit. Now, what did all this cause? We knew it was coming a while back. We saw it was coming. I was telling you in YouTube videos it was coming. And we built DouglasDucote.com, the website, which is where I started telling people to go to, because it was a matter of time before I would be shut down on social media as well. Once my YouTube channel hit over 100,000 subscribers and over 4 million people were viewing my videos, I knew it was a matter of time before I was going to end up like Laura Loomer, Alex Jones, Don Shipley, Steven Crowder. It was just a matter of time before that happened to me too. Right now, I still have access to put out videos on YouTube. They're flagged, which means they don't get promoted, which means you won't know they're there unless you go to my channel. All right. They're not going in news feeds. They're not being recommended. And they're playing with the numbers. For instance, I'll put out a video and where I was getting 300, 400, 500,000 views to 2,000 views. And they tell me, oh, well, that's just how the cycle works with YouTube. Bullshit. That's not how the cycle works. That's how the cycle works when they want to shut you down and censor your speech. And as we move into 2020, it's going to get worse. So we built DouglasDucote.com so people could go there, they could sign up with their email address, they could get notifications when I have videos out. I could do my videos just on that site and be done with the rest of the social media sites if it comes down to that. But how sad is that a veteran, someone that served his country honorably, did 4 combat tours for this country, plus served in law enforcement honorably, to protect our Constitution and our rights, is now censored because they don't give a shit. They don't care. I help protect their rights to do what they're doing to me. And that's where we're at today with it. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to open it up for questions. And if anybody would like to talk about something or ask me a question directly, whether it's something we talked about today or when I lost my hair, feel free to chime in and we'll try and answer as many as we possibly can. So we'll be right back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dustin Gold, the producer of DouglasDucote.com. Doug will be back in a couple of minutes. We'll be taking questions from the audience, so feel free to drop those questions in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on both of them. We'll get to as many as we can. You know, if you want to ensure that your comment moves to the top of the chat, so Doug will definitely see it. You can use the super chat feature right there in YouTube or in the description. There is a donate button with Streamlabs that will also move your comment to the top. And with both of those, you'll see your donation appear on the screen. There's other ways to donate, such as PayPal and on the website, DouglasDucote.com/donate. All the money is helping us build better infrastructure for the website. We're releasing some new forum platform soon where you'll be able to communicate and network together on the website, and we are also expanding with our equipment and a number of projects we're going to be rolling out over the next year for 2020 and beyond. So feel free, if you want to make a donation, do it that way. I want to thank a couple of people real quick. Uniquely Written, who donated earlier in the show. So proud of you, Douglas. Keep up the good work. I feel safer with an alpha male like you leading the way. And then Scott Boolean donated as well. And then I saw there was a number of people that had donated the other way, which is anonymous. I mean, we know who they are, but we don't put their names out. So I want to thank you guys very much, and we will protect your names. So some people just can't afford to get fired from work. Let me see if Doug is ready. All right, we're coming back, so feel free to load up the chat with questions, and I will grab as many as I can from Doug.
Hey, folks, so we're back from the break. A couple of things I want to mention before we get into answering your questions. This Friday, the 26th, I'm going to be on InfoWars, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time with American Joe. And it's going to be a special veterans segment where we're going to talk about veterans issues and things that are happening with vets here in America. And we're going to take phone calls, and we're going to talk to vets and do our best to help them in any way we possibly can. Then later on Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be on American Joe's live show, live on his YouTube channel as well as his website, just like he came on mine. So I'm going to return the favor, and let's help build up American Joe's sites, just like you've helped with me. Go in there, subscribe to him, become somebody on social media with him. And look, and he's actually he's fighting some of the same issues I am with being censored, also on Facebook as well as Twitter. So they're coming after us, folks, and putting together our own websites is, there's nothing else we can do at that point. I will say this to all of you that still have the access to Twitter, and I only know this for a fact with Twitter and not so much with Facebook, although you can just probably guess it is. There's a reason for this. They know that when people like AOC and Alihan Omar and Talib Shalib say horrible, mean things on Twitter 30 times a day about America, about our military, about our veterans, about our law enforcement, and they're just trashing, that conservatives and Republicans are going to come back and they're going to go after them. And they're doing it on Twitter. and they're saying the wrong thing and not keeping it politically correct. And there's a way to do that, okay? I know. I'm learning how to keep it within a realm of not being removed, let's say. Like if you go back and you look at some of my earlier YouTube videos, you'd go, what the hell, man? You know, he's got some bad words in there. And, you know, they don't like that. That's a great reason for them to say that you're promoting hate, and then they remove you and don't allow your appeal, and you're just gone. So I think it's been done on purpose to slowly but surely weed out those that get pissed off and go after them on Twitter and call them a name or say a bad word, and then boom, you're out of there. Okay? They want to do that. You know, trust me, it's a plan. It's not just a fluke that all these conservatives have been shut down. All right, with that, what do we have, Dustin, for questions that I can answer?
With first, I just want to say real quick, Shells S, thank you very much for the donation, and Gregory Miller, you are fantastic. I think last show you were, or Gregor Miller, I think you donated a lot last time. Thank you very much for this donation. He just said, Doug, take wifey out for a cool one. God bless America. United we stand. Gregor, thank you very much for
you, brother.
For the $100. I mean, really, you're helping build this. And again, this is about 2020 and beyond. So let's get to some questions here. Oh, Zombie Farmer actually just wrote a comment real quick. He had reached out to us earlier via email. He said a subscriber told me to check this channel out. Good stuff. Zombie, I reached out to you via email, so feel free to email us back, and we could set up a time to talk. I checked out your channel and saw you're putting some great content out as well, and we are definitely looking to build allies like we are with American Joe. We need real patriots, and we're willing to work with other people to build that movement. Someone here, Evelyn Meadows, she's not a fan, Doug. I've seen her all night. She said, you really, really, really believe we landed on the moon. Do your homework. I figure you could comment on that. Let's start off with a fun one.
Well, look, I know for a fact we landed on the moon, and this is how I know it. And you can look this up. I want you to Google this, okay? And you will see it. The Inquiry did a story, and I believe the year was, I went in the Army in 85, so it was probably 1979 or 1980, where it said that the astronauts found a B-25 bomber from World War II on the moon, which meant somehow they were able to fly a twin-engine bomber airplane up there, and the astronauts found it and took pictures of it, and they printed it in the National Enquiry. Look that up. B-25 bomber found on the moon. So there's your evidence that if they saw a bomber up there, it's bound to have happened.
So let me ask you this. Patriot Mike says, Doug, what do you think about the Democrats coming out after the Mueller hearing and then lying about the Mueller hearing?
I think that, sadly, the Tide Pod eating that is happening within their party is affecting their brains in a way that's definitely not healthy. I've done videos on that where I, talked to liberals and Democrats and even held up the Tide Pod container and read the warnings on the back of it. So I think that's what's happening with them. They're starting to eat more of these Tide Pods. Some of them have switched to things like Gain, all right, and other brands, but it's the same stuff. Okay, it's a chemical, it's a soap, and just don't do it. I understand, Nancy Pelosi and some of these that are, they're up there in age. When you got in trouble as a kid, your mama probably put soap in your mouth, as a punishment. I get that, okay, but this is different. All right. This is affecting you when you eat these things in a way that your mama didn't. Okay. So don't do that. Okay. This don't repeat the Christmas story again by eating soap.
All right. So
next question.
I'm going to read a comment and then a question. Brianne
Okay.
Delory said, "Excellent show, Mr. Ducote. These social media sites should be held accountable for what they've done to the vets." And then Jake Carlson asked, "Do you think, Doug, they are targeting you personally or conservatives at large?"
Conservatives at large. And I just happen to be one of them. So, you know, when they realize what my content is about, that goes against what they want for 2020. And they made it very clear. They've come out and even said that they're going to start purging accounts. I mean, Twitter said that and Facebook said that. Even YouTube said it. We're going to start purging these accounts because we do not believe what they're saying, and we believe they're fake accounts, and we believe that, you know, that how conservatives and Republicans think is wrong. All right. And it's their battlefield, folks, that we're playing on. Okay. And, you know, it's Laura Loomer's suing them right now, suing Facebook. I think I saw them for $4 billion. That's a lot of money. But whatever it is, I hope she wins, you know. And if she wants to do a class action, I'll be more than happy to jump on board with her and throw some money at the pot.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that real quick, because this is mainstream news. Mainstream news, it's been going on for about a year. Southern Poverty Law Center, as well as Media Matters and others, keep published hate lists. I mean, not publicly, but some have leaked out, of a number of conservative right-of-center streamers, including religious streamers, pro-life streamers, pro-life organizations that they want banned and have gotten banned on social media. And this is not a conspiracy theory. This is even admitted to by CNN, MSNBC, and others. And also recently, YouTube published new terms and conditions, and they openly admitted that if they don't like the content that you, the viewer, are watching, that they will push mainstream news into your feed. I mean, that is open, published information. So we know that it's happening. And my personal belief as Doug's producer, and now that I've spent the last several weeks tracking his analytics on YouTube and tracking analytics on our website, it makes it easier for me as someone with a technology background as a professional to analyze the situation and say, yes, Doug is on some kind of list. They hit him on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube all within a 24-hour period, sometimes within minutes. I mean, even today, Doug put up a video, and the view count to the viewer said it had 5.9 thousand views. Then when you went into the video, automatically it said 7.7. So what they're showing on the public board is 2,000 views less than what it actually shows once you click inside the video. And Doug has had situations where on the back end, you can see that it actually had more views than what they're publishing on the front end.
Right.
So they are definitely doing this. We're going to skip that one.
I got a quick answer for somebody who asked earlier, is that a payphone behind me? Yes, and a real quick story about that payphone is that is the very first antique that I have ever purchased, and the only antique I've ever purchased. My wife and I were in Pensacola, Florida. We went into an antique shop one day, and we're looking around, and I went, son of a gun, a payphone. And, you know, we haven't seen those in years. But as growing up, that's what we had. We didn't have cell phones and stuff. So I was like, I got to have this, you know, and they wanted $120 for it. And I said, I'll give you 60. And they said, sold. So I bought a payphone as an antique from an antique store. And the funniest part about this is that when I brought it home, my kids were like, what the hell's that? They just, but yeah, so it's got money in it even, but I've got no key to open it. One day I'm going to find a way to get it open to see, what the dates are on the change that's in it.
Well, of course it has money in it. You're the guy who bought it, and you have to pay a quarter every time you want to make a call now.
I wish it worked. It doesn't work. We've tried that. We plugged it in. It's got the wires in the back of it, and it doesn't.
So that was the first antique you brought home. And it's interesting because when I met your wife, she said you were the third antique that she's brought home.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the J actually had a point in response to the question on the moon. He had said if we didn't land on the moon, then the Russians and the Chinese would have called BS on it at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I joke about it, but I have no doubt that we landed on the moon. I've seen it. Just hey.
Did you? AZ Webmaster just made a donation. Thank you very much. Question, Doug, how do we protect against illegal voting in 2020? Arizona turned half blue in 2018 and likely will turn all blue in 2020. Texas almost lost some red in 2018.
We are going to have during the election the same thing that we had during the last election, midterm as well as the presidential election, where at all the, not necessarily all the polling booths, but the major polling booths are going to, in major cities, are going to have people there that will be monitoring that are being hired by the Republican Party, and then the DNC's hiring their own people that will monitor what's happening there. All right. And hopefully that will all run smoothly. Now, what will happen, and you can just take this to the bank, is once again, Florida is going to find a way to screw this process all up again and keep everybody hanging on till 3 o'clock in the morning, because all these years, and they've yet to figure out how to do voting in that one state, a state that I love. I mean, I love Florida. I really do, especially the Pensacola area. But they got a problem when it comes to to voting.
So Linda Horner said, Doug, we have one of those payphones here, and she's going to actually turn it into a lamp. So that's pretty cool. Harry John said, Abraham Lincoln once said, and then I'm going to take a couple questions from the website chat because I'm not ignoring you guys. But Harry John said, Abraham Lincoln once said, no man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. Was this the case with Mueller today?
I think something happened. I think he look, if you watched what I watched, and anybody can go back and rewatch this, it's going to be all over YouTube. I think I guess the best way without making fun of the man is that maybe he had some type of a stroke. Maybe he had a TIA or something like that. But something happened with Bob Mueller's brain. And I'm not making fun of this. It's not a joke. But if you go back and you watch all of this, you will see that something's not right. All right. So I think that's the...
Yeah, and I would say you could go back and watch video of Bob Mueller testifying over the years when he was FBI director and called in to testify on other matters, and you'll see that something occurred. I listened to a lot of talk radio today in between the testimony just to prep and see how Doug was going to take on this situation. And my personal belief is either it's that, or as other hosts, I mean, really only one other host posed the question, is he faking it so that the Democrats can cry that he was incompetent and now they want another investigation? Now, I don't put anything past the Democrats, so I mean, it could be, but clearly he was not at the top of his game. I mean, that was not the Bob Mueller that you would see a couple of years ago.
Yeah, something was not there. Wasn't all the dots were not.
Yeah, and
there.
And there has been, Doug, and I'm sure you've heard it, a number of other nationally syndicated hosts that have talked about the fact over the last couple of months it's come out that Mueller may have just been a figurehead they hired because of his resume and reputation as a veteran to basically be the cover man while Andrew Weissman and other more biased individuals actually ran the investigation. And now Mueller is stuck in a situation where he's got to come out and comment on something that he had nothing to do with actually investigating or writing. If you noticed, I don't know, you watched the whole thing, Doug, he probably said Well, I agree with it if it's in the report 500 times today.
Right. Yeah. It was like he didn't understand the question, but yet he would say, if it's in the report, then I
support it.
I agree with it.
That was his words. Yeah, I support it. Viper Shadow said, Douglas, most of us forget that the root of this problem, the umbrella under which they get away with all this, is the ACLU. Now, I know there was a story that came up recently that happened to be fake news that was talking about the ACLU, but do you have any personal comments on the ACLU, anything you've tracked over the years?
I think that they're just as worse, if not even more so, than the NAACP and the Black Lives Matter and the Black Panther Party, the KKK, Antifa. There's a problem there, and they're hateful people that are against conservatives and Republicans. And when the ACLU started, it had its platform and its reason for being, just like the NAACP, for instance, was legit, and it became corrupt. Now, the KKK, on the other hand, you can't say that about Antifa, all right? But, Black Lives Matter, same thing, all right? It got hijacked by a bunch of crazy far-left haters, that just hate white people and hate cops, sadly.
Yeah, and I would add to that, Doug, by saying it's similar to, labor unions, to even some of the religious institutions, to government itself, to the FBI, to the DOJ. A lot of these institutions that start for good reasons, it ends up over time becoming corrupt because people who want power over others rise to the top, and then they end up having power and they abuse the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So have we answered anything from the website yet?
Oh yeah, let me ask you. Tom says, Doug, I love all of your videos. When you get the chance, you should look into the Democrat corruption that has been going on in Philadelphia now for decades, but more so the antics as the current mayor and his corrupt ways. Before you answer that, I just wanted to say, Doug did a video recently where he was at one of his, a local Republican straw poll in Louisiana where he lives, and one of the big things you all should be doing is getting involved with your local politics and reporting on local corruption, whether it be on social media or launch your own blogs.
Yeah. It was, it's not just about 2020 and the president. It's about the governors. It's about the senators and Congress members. It's about your local officials, okay, in your counties, all right? Anywhere that you're associated with that requires a vote, pay attention, get out there and find out who the hell they are and support someone, okay? And I can't stress that enough. When only a quarter of the people that are actually registered get off their butt and go vote, then what are we doing? Okay, we're going to lose that, because the Democrats don't have a problem at all loading up buses, okay, with, they get 500 buses, school buses, and just go around and load people up and bring them to polling booths in areas they know aren't being monitored. Okay, and look, Republicans don't do that, but you can at least get off your butt and go vote. Pay attention to what's happening in your city, in your towns, in your county. Here in Louisiana, we have parishes, same thing, as well as your state level, as well as the presidency.
Now, just to expand quickly on that, Patriot Mike wants to know if you agree with voter ID, and I know sometimes it's difficult to comment on certain policy issues without actually seeing the written policy itself, but in general, do you agree with voter ID? And then Jay Carlson asks, what if voter fraud beats Trump in 2020? Then what do we do?
Okay, the first part of that is you need an ID to open a checking account. You need a photo ID to get a driver's license, or some type of ID to prove who you are. In some cases, you even have to bring your birth certificate to get that. You can't board an airplane without a photo ID. In fact, it's going to be even stricter here real soon, where you can't even use your driver's license that you have today. It's going to be a special government type identification to board an airplane. So if we have to have photo ID for all these different type situations, what's the difference? In fact, I say it's even more so that we need photo ID so that we know that the person that's voting is not, it's them. It lines up with what they have on the registry for that particular district. This person on that ID happens to be on this list as a registered voter. We can see the picture. It's that person. And, well, with the exception of places like California and out west, you can't get a driver's license unless you are a legal American, okay? Or as an illegal, you can't, okay? Although they're finding ways to get around that and give it to them in some of those far left-leaning areas of our country. So the short of the part of the answer is yes, I believe in photo ID, and I believe that voter ID is something that we really need. What was the second part?
I have what voter ID, and then the second part was what happens if the Democrats steal 2020? What do we do? I don't know if there's much we can do if they steal it.
Well,
sadly,
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because as far as I'm concerned, that's not going to happen. And we can't even think that way. Although, if we don't get actively involved with making sure that your friends and your family know the truth about the Democrat Party, then we stand that chance of losing it. All right. And go look at some of my videos I've done and share that with your family and friends about the Democrat Party. They're the ones that, if any black person, whether they're from Africa or not, or born here and don't have ancestors from Africa, or they're from some other Jamaica, okay? If any dark-skinned person would know that it was the Democrats that founded the KKK and that fought Lincoln for freeing the slaves, and that all of the horrible things that took place against people of color was done by the Democrats, and it still is today with Planned Parenthood. All right? So if they just would at least do their homework, they would never vote for a Democrat again. But hell, they've got a black caucus, which is all Democrats. Are you kidding me? And these are people that, they know the truth. All right?
Right.
Sheila Jackson, all of them. They know Maxine Waters. They know the truth. Why the hell are they doing that?
Right.
And why would Sheila Jackson want to vote? Why would she want to be a Democrat? Why?
And I think you're 100% right, Doug. The message here, I think Doug is correct. We can't get hung up with that and worry about things that are out of our control.
Yeah.
You can wake up your neighbors, your friends, your family. There are still people out there you can wake up. There's a lot of people that don't vote, that just don't even engage, that you can say, hey, this is what the Democrats really are. You need to get out and vote. Now, when Donald Trump, after the 2016 election, he put Chris Kobach in charge of a voter fraud committee in the White House. They turned the information over to the DHS. Who knows what's happened to it? I don't know. But if they cheat and get away with it, that's on him, not on us. We need to wake people up and get them to vote. Right. We're going to find out what happens after Election Day. Then we regroup and see where we go from there.
It's not only making sure they understand the difference in the history of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, but there's another battle that I'm fighting, and you will hear more and more of me in the very near future, and that is that Alihan Omar and Tlaib Shalib need to be removed. Not only have there been federal crimes that they could be charged with? And I hope that they're looking into this, that the DOJ is, but the things they're saying go against the oath that they took. So if you swore to defend and protect the Constitution, and then you turn around and shit on it, then guess what? You need to be gone, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. But these women, those four up there, are making a huge mockery out of our entire system. And I'm going to be, they say they're going to be Trump's worst nightmare. I'm going to be their worst nightmare. And we will be going out in the public. We will be holding rallies. We will be doing things where I'm going to be calling on you to say, hey, look, such and such date and time, we're going to be in this location, this city, this here, join us. And, we have to do it on a weekend because Republicans and conservatives work, unlike the left who can, they can say tomorrow, meet me wherever. And thousands of them show up in caravan there because they don't have a freaking job. Mm-hmm. They're waiting on, we pay for their ass.
There's a few people that donated with questions. I just wanted to ask you a quick follow-up before I move to you guys. I didn't miss you. Were you brought up there that you have AOC, you have Rashida Tlaib, you have Ilhan Omar, you have Ayanna Pressley, these people who swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. My question is this. I appreciate Donald Trump tangling with them. Sometimes I think it could go in a different direction. If they violate their oath, and I think we might be able to get a guest on here, Professor Nick Giordano goes on Tucker sometimes as a friend of our show. I think we can get him on to actually ask him these questions. What is the penalty for that, and how could they actually utilize that for Donald Trump to come out to the podium and say, look, if you want to live in North Korea under a communist dictatorship, if you want to live in Saudi Arabia under Sharia law, I have a good working relationship with those people, and I could definitely get you a visa if you renounce your citizenship. If not, you will be investigated for treason and sedition because you are openly trying to overthrow the Constitution.
Yes. Look, it needs to be addressed. What's the best way I can put this? I wish I had Trump's ear. I truly believe that he has people in his inner circle that do not have his best interests at heart and are clueless when it comes to the Constitution. There are things that he should be saying and doing and ways he could utilize his platform as the president to squash a lot of these problems. And he's not going there, whether it's problems with these women or it's problems with the border. All right. Hopefully we will build this strong enough and enough people will become members of DouglasDucote.com and on the YouTube as well, that he'll listen, or somebody will share this with him and say, hey, check this guy out. And if that happens, then I just hope that I have that opportunity. I'd love to sit down with this man for just 30 minutes. That's all I need. And I can take care of half of the problems he's faced with when it comes to these Democrats and liberals.
I know.
Guarantee it.
I would love to see a press pool that consists of as far as the press secretary. I would love to see you, American Joe, Zombie Farmer, and a few other veterans. They walk out every day. There's like 6 of them that are the actual joint press secretaries. That would be my dream right now. AZ Webmaster, $4.99. Thank you very much. Doug, do you think the fake mainstream media had more influence over the elections than the Russians?
Of course. The Russians didn't affect our election. Anyway, if the Russians had not done anything, it wouldn't have changed, period. There's no way it would have changed the the voting system. Did they interfere? I believe the evidence is there that they did, but it would have not changed the outcome. No way in hell could anybody ever convince me of that.
Mike Costello for $5. Thank you very much. We appreciate the support. Jason Terrell, $5. Doug, have you seen the South Carolina police officer's grave? People are trying to remove the word Lord off the grave. It's the police prayer.
I don't know about a grave. I know that there is a memorial, granite memorial that's set up, I believe, outside of a courthouse or something like. Maybe it might even be outside of the police station, for all I know. But there's nobody buried under it. Where it's got, it's dedicated to the fallen police officers, and they came and said that the word Lord needs to be removed, and they got it done. They got it. They went in there and scratched out through the granite the paint off of it to where that word can't be utilized or can't be seen. And that's what a sad day. That's just one of many things. I mean, all over America right now, they're trying to take away references to God. We know that. We're fighting that on a daily basis.
All right, before we wrap up, there's been a number of these questions, so I'm going to try to just lump it all into one question for you. But first, I'll just address Scorchin64 real quick. I had made a comment about no hats or headdresses allowed on Congress. Friend of the show, he's a writer that might come on with us eventually, Alex Roberts, did a great article about this back when it happened. No, they actually changed the rules.
Correct.
They actually changed the rule that was written in the 1800s. It was actually a rule we put into place that we would not allow hats on the floor of Congress, and it was actually to differentiate us and to create our own culture separate from England, where they would wear hats. And we actually changed that for the Muslim.
For who?
For the Muslim.
Alihan Omar.
So everyone, that changed, and that's changing our culture to bend over for them versus them assimilating into our culture. See how that works? Yet we are the racist and we are the horrible person.
So here's a shout out to all members in Congress of the Republican Party. Show up wearing a red "Make America Great Again" hat every freaking day that you're in that building, our building.
Yeah,
and we'll fix that shit real quick.
That's phenomenal. And the interesting part, this was in Alex Roberts' article. He had talked about a member of Congress who happens to be black. A few years ago, she had cancer, and she went through chemo and lost her hair. And when she came on the floor of Congress to vote, she took the wrap off her head. She respected the rules. And she had cancer, and she respected the rules. But no, we changed them for these. Oh my God, I don't even want to get into it on your show. I don't want to be the one to get you banned. Tim Clark, and then I'll wrap up with these final two questions. Tim Clark, $20. What happened to the Barry news? I guess since it didn't reach Katrina standards, it was not newsworthy. Talking about the Barry hurricane. Doug reported on the Barry hurricane.
I did. I actually was standing right where it came ashore when it became a Category 1. Go check out the video. Didn't stay long in Category 1, but I was there. A place called Don's Specialty Meats, which is, I guess, a restaurant slash, they have like turtle and snake and alligator and whatever, that we eat down here in the South, and reported from there. And then it just, there was some flooding took place, but, there was not much damage like what's happened in the past, like with Katrina.
Okay, hold on. We just got a couple of quick ones. Tom, on the website, thank you very much for going on there, Tom. Do you ever intend, Doug, on trying to get into a government position? And I know that you have commented on this in the past.
Let's just say, stay tuned. There's a lot of things that are happening right now behind the scenes about my potential political future. And if you know me personally, or you have watched any of my videos, I don't do shit half-ass. I'm not going to just jump into a little county election or even the governorship. And hell, I don't even think I'm going to jump into Congress. So what's that leave you with? All right. There will be some things happening in the very near future and some announcements about what I'm going to do. And so just stay tuned. That's all I can say at this point. A few things have to come together to make it work. And once we know that those things have come together to make it work, then we'll see.
That's a lot different than the response I've heard from you in the past, which was, I have PTSD, I'm a combat veteran with traumatic brain injury, and if I ended up on the floor of the House, I don't know if I could take what those people are saying, and I might get arrested, and you say Doug is a horrible, mean person. Marlon Batcher, $2, thank you very much. Let me just ask you this question, because somebody put it in here. I don't know if they think you've ignored the topic, but I know you haven't. Cast Iron Porterhouse had said, I don't know if they were referring to you, but, you know, you won't answer questions about Sharia law at all. I mean, you've talked about Sharia law. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done videos about Sharia law. It's horrible, and it has no place in America. It has no place anywhere. Well, I mean, if the Muslims want to do that over in a Muslim country, you know, so be it. But I think it's even horrible there. There's no place for that. And, you know, the Quran and the Bible can't coexist together. There's a complete and total different ideology how these, not all, but a good percentage of those that follow the Quran believe. And so that's, yeah, Sharia law is horrible. I don't want nothing to do with it, and it doesn't need to be here in America.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my personal belief in research, and I've read the Quran and the Hadith and Sharia law, is that it's just Orthodox Islam cannot coexist with the West, and Sharia law cannot coexist with constitutional law. Not to say, again, one of the greatest things I think Donald Trump did was the beginning of his presidency, he went and spoke to representative of the Arab nations, and he said, look, we don't want to impose our way of life on you. But if you try to export terrorism or this kind of thing, it's going to be a problem. And I agree with that. I mean, if these people want to live that way in their particular country, fine. And the people here, that's where Trump wasn't clear. What the president should have said. All I'm saying is, if you want a ticket to go live in one of these places, I can get you one, and I can get you a visa. I have decent working relationships with these people.
Right.
And if you want to turn over all your money to Kim Jong-un and go into a communist regime, I'm sure he'd love it. And if you want to go over and live in Saudi Arabia under Sharia law, Crown Prince MBS, I'm pretty sure he would accept you there. I mean, that's the whole thing. Yeah, but if you're going to try to overthrow our constitutional republic, that's where the problem is. Now, let me lump in for the final question. A lot of people want to know, you mentioned it in your opening, one, do you think we're ever going to see mass indictments of the deep state players like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, James Comey, Jim Clapper, John Brennan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And then lumped in there, some people had mentioned it, because there were rumors going on for a long time, some of it connected to QAnon, other people like Conservative Treehouse were pushing it. Do you ever think there's going to be military tribunals and people going and then secret trials on Gitmo?
I do not believe there will be secret trials. I do not believe people will be going to Gitmo. I do believe that William Barr is going to hold a bunch of people accountable for this entire fake dossier and build up to try and impeach President Trump. I believe in my soul that that is the plan.
So that is the plan. Okay, let me just see if there's any one last one. Well, Tasman, you said questions. Do you have a question you want to ask before we wrap up? Because we've got to close this out. We both have a number of things we're working on for some long-term projects. So do you have a question, Tasman? I don't want to ignore you.
While we're waiting on him, I'm going to share something with you guys that I thought was pretty cool. I recently found this picture. It's going through a bunch of stuff. This is a photograph taken in 1985 with my circle of friends, my best friends. It was a going away party they had for me when I went to go into the military. And so this is in 1985, and I had hair. Look at that shit. I had hair. Sadly, some of these people are no longer with us. They passed on, but it was really cool to come across this photograph and reminisce of that and remember those days when I used a comb.
I will just say that my favorite picture that you've sent over to me is the one of you in when you were a police officer that's now in the opening video where you look like Deputy Dr. Phil.
My wife hates that picture. She hates that picture. She constantly, anytime she walks through my office, she turns it around.
So let's see. Tasman said, well, it's not a question. It's showing Doug is not the only one to get banned from Twitter. True respect for Doug. Well, yeah, Tasman, I don't know if you were on the whole show, but Doug talked a lot about that earlier.
Oh, yeah. We talked about all the people that, the big players that have been banned and now the small guys like me that are being banned.
Yeah, big and small. And Doug and I don't know if it was on a show or him with Chrissy Piccolo that he does Real World Witness with, or we talked about it privately. But, one of the disappointments of the social media summit last week was people like Doug, people like American Joe, that are both banned off Facebook and Twitter right now, both being censored on YouTube, all the way down to people like myself who've lost 10 Twitter accounts over the last 2 years. Chrissy Piccolo has lost accounts. There are thousands upon thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of conservatives that are not even doing this as a business. They're just people that are part of the digital army that have been banned. And I believe, myself personally, that the spotlight should be shined on all of those people as well.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a fun night. Is there anything else you want to close with, Doug?
I just want to close with what I always close with all my videos, folks. Please, can't say it enough. Say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, all of our veterans, our first responders, all their families, our Blue and Gold Star families, our president, and our country. If you believe in the power of prayer, we need it. We can't say that enough. I can, at least. If you aren't a Christian and you don't believe in prayer, that's your right, and that's fine. But for those of you that do, when I say that at the end of my videos, that's who I'm addressing it to. So if you will, join me in doing just that when you lay your head down at night. Thanks to everybody that donated. We appreciate it. We're building this for you. All right? It's not about me. I'm just I've managed to be a voice that's getting word out there that a lot of people like and want to hear. And we're doing this for you. This is, I serve my country honorably, and this is my gift to American patriots, what we're building right now. And it's to 2020 and beyond. All right? We're not stopping at 2020. Trust me. So this is my gift. All right? So it's all about you guys.
All right. Thank you very much. And let me just say, Senior Masters, I saw you just said Doug contact you. You're Private USA retired. Feel free to email me, Dustin, D-U-S-T-I-N, at DouglasDucote.com, and I'll get that message over to Doug. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a fantastic evening, and God bless you all.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Douglas Ducote Show.